Welcome back to Full Circle with Muycali. We highly, deeply apologize for our connection issue with Dr. Wali. We're not able to get through to him somehow, but we do promise that tomorrow will be a better day. Whoever is doing these things from yesterday, we rebuke you. We say release in Jesus' name. Welcome to Full Circle. I hope you're having a great morning. Remember, you can be part of the conversation. 111 That is our SMS line. Shilingi moja tu, then you get to talk to us. Switch TV KE on Instagram, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. But first things first, let's just take a look at the quote of the day. And today's quote comes from Maxwell Maltz, and it says, "The ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success." I'm just going to read that again. The ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. So it's okay for you to go without for now. It's okay for you to feel like it's not enough. I need more. But then you also need to pay attention to the things that you're doing and the direction that you're going, the goal that you're focused on, for you to be able to be like, you know what, it's okay. I will struggle now a little bit more so that my success, my enjoyment, my gratification can be longer and not short-lived. Our very first guest is in studio this morning, and we are talking, I think I told you about that. It's a conversation that probably is never heard. We're talking about the other woman, and it's in a book, so that means it's time for Book Circle. She is my namesake, and I'm excited to introduce you to a storyteller. She's an author as well. And in this particular book, she bears it raw. I'm talking about Redempta Muycali. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yani, this is the book, guys. The ABCDs of the other woman. It's a conversation that most of the times we don't have it in a conga hush hush. It's usually the woman versus the other woman. It's what he said, she said, and probably the man is quiet in between. But before we get into the book, please, Redempta, introduce yourself to the people. You have many titles and you do so many things in terms of storytelling.
Yes, I do. My name is Redempta Muycali, namesake.
Yes.
Change the show to Muycali with Muycali.
Muycali. We're good. It covers both of us.
Yes.
It's like a full circle with the Muycalis.
Yes.
Okay.
I've come full circle in a sense, even in my career.
Oh.
Because I'm in part 2 of life.
Okay.
I'm in halftime. This is halftime for me.
What was part 1?
Part 1, my name was Muycali. I was a diva.
Oh.
Yes.
What are you saying?
Yes.
And?
Then I became Redempta. I toned down.
Then you started telling us redemptive stories.
Yes.
Okay.
I did that once. I used to tell redemptive stories.
Yes.
And that's something I do, redemptive stories from Africa.
Yes.
And I'm very keen on storytelling.
Yeah.
Because even as we have the conversation about extramarital affairs, how do we have the conversation? If I start saying mipango ya kando, like little kids, we put our ears and we go, yeah, we don't want to hear about it.
But a story has a nice ring to it.
Yes.
You want to listen. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yes.
But somehow the lesson, it's how our grandmothers used to tell us the
Yes.
things that we shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
As Muycali the Diva, was Muycali the Diva also telling stories, or Muycali the Diva was just living her
doing
life?
stories.
She was doing the stories. So Redempta Muycali is telling the stories of Muycali the Diva.
Yes.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so I'm a people helper because extramarital affairs shattered my life.
Okay.
In my 20s, Cinderella kind of romanticism where you think everything you've been told, if you do as you're told, everything will be fine. And then you do as you're told and everything is not fine.
What do you mean it shattered your life? What happened to Muycali the Diva? You know, that must have been the diva.
Yeah, now the 20s, in my 20s, HIV came to Africa.
Yes.
And people were dying all around. So the best place to be was in marriage. So you couldn't afford to be like, single, independent woman. You're like, the safest place for me is in marriage.
Okay.
And the irony was that I was working the AIDS control program at that time. And then I get married. And then I'm zungukwa na mipango. It's all over. And I'm telling my partner, we are going to die. So-and-so has died. So-and-so is sick. So it was the worst time to be young and energetic for both of us now in retrospect.
Yes.
We didn't know any better because the same things that people are doing now, they were doing that time. But that time it was life and death.
Yes.
So
there
that's,
wasn't a lot of education that there is now. There wasn't even self-test kits that you can just carry around.
there
and
was
just,
there were no ARVs.
There were no ARVs for
People
sure.
died.
Yeah.
So here we were, both of us working the AIDS control. In my first book, my first book is about, did I order this?
Okay.
It's nilijitakia haya, really just the events of my life that make me who I am. So in my first book, I shared about what happened to me in my 20s. I wasn't prepared because nobody told me that I would have to deal with mipango ya kando and HIV at the same time.
So was it you that you had mpango wa kando,
Aye.
or was it your husband?
We were raised to be like, marriage prepares the women. Go submit.
Yes, it's true.
So
That's
then
the
it never
thing.
prepares the man that, please do what you said you do on this particular day. Yeah, so I didn't know how to be in a marriage. First of all, it's just like parenting. Nobody tells you how to be a parent.
It's like learn as you go.
Yeah. So you're learning and going, and you're seeing people slim. In fact, in Uganda, it was called slim. You're seeing people slim and waist and get sick. And like,
Yeah.
is this what I'm going to get for life? So it wasn't an easy choice because I was dependent on my husband. He was more senior than me. Was civil servant. He was more senior than me. So he's taking care of me to the extent that he was taking me back to school. My dream to get a degree that I missed out in.
This is it.
So I'm torn between money and the box, status and status, really, because there's status of marriage and then the status of HIV. Yeah. So the whole now when I look back, when I see people overreact when I talk about extramarital affairs, I've gone to a place where we were having a drink in a party, and I just decided to be naughty. When I noticed people were tipsy enough, I said, "I'm writing a book about the other woman." I was almost evicted from the party.
Oh my God, were they married people?
Yes.
I don't know why I sounded judgmental right there for a second, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
So, but how did that come to you? Did you say it as a joke at that point and then go ahead and actually think about it and do it?
When I've taken some wine, I've become Muycali again. So I was just being cheeky.
Okay. So at what point did it become like a reality that I'm actually going to pen this down?
Because I wanted to get it over there and do more serious things. I have many books in me. So I'm like, this is one. So I would say, I finished my first book and people would be like, what do you want to write about? So I realized the extramarital affairs was in my list because it affected my life. But then it was a conversation starter. And so I already had enough stories from people I knew, from my own family members. But now when I have that conversation, even with unmarried people or even from their families, like, you want to write about what, So I got a lot of information, even the last maybe 2 years of collecting the story. I was writing another book about how marriages break.
Okay.
And it really was adversity because I wrote with someone who took off with my book. So I was like, okay, so I have a story in me about marriages.
Wait, they took off with your book?
Yes, and published it. So I was like...
But you hadn't copyrighted the book?
We were co-authoring.
Oh my God. So it's out there. Do you see it?
Yes. Sorry?
Do you see the book around?
It's in another country. Story for another day.
So cool. You have so many stories, Redempta. It feels like we're going to be here for a while.
Yes.
Okay. So
I was like, okay, so I was going to write about marriages. And again, people asking, you're not an expert in marriages. Why do you want to talk about marriages? And I'm like, because nobody told me how to be in my 30s and be single. Nobody told me that there's a bitterness that comes with being, in that state, like when it was caused. It's not something you just woke up and decided. So my extramarital affair story is really this full circle.
It's a full circle.
It starts where your life is shattered and ends up 20 years later with a person saying, I'm sorry I did this to you. But the person who is in between us is not there. And so my first chapter of this book is called The Misses and the Misses.
Yes.
And the Silent Mister in Between.
Yeah. Please tell us more about that. How did you, okay, fine. I think you definitely have the story about this. And it says, a man consents to an affair. Women bear the brunt and blame. Fallacy. Any woman who engages in extramarital affairs is the one who seduces a man.
Yes.
That is a lie.
It is a fallacy, and that's why the whole book is about the fallacies.
Yes.
And so every chapter I talk about the fallacy. So in this first chapter, it's the man is silent. Women are battling it out. They're calling each other bad names.
We've seen women kill each other, beat each other in the streets.
Yes.
Because you have my man.
Yes. And then I did 4 years of prison ministry from a church group. And I didn't even know when I was getting involved that I would actually have a very soft spot for women who had committed crimes of passion.
Okay.
And I was like, this could have than you. And the Muycali the diva, when it happened to me, I smashed a windscreen.
You did what?
Yes.
Gari ya wenyewe?
Yet to.
Okay. Okay.
I hammered the car.
Uh-huh.
And it hit me as I was talking to a woman who had hit another woman with a kuni.
Yes.
Like she was from Ukambani. So it's like, this is really my sister. So I was like, what can I pray about? You know, like you go one-on-one with these women. And that's when it hit me why I was in that place. Is that I could relate.
It could have been you.
I hit a car.
Yes.
How she hit another woman.
Yes.
With a kuni. It's in the village setup. It's not premeditated or anything. It's just like your whole life is threatened.
Yeah.
Umeenda mtoni. You've been working the whole day.
Yes.
Then you come and find a woman in the village setting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Ni kuni too.
it's a village setting, so it's not like the dramas we are used to.
Yes.
She just picks what is the nearest object to her, and she hits this woman.
And now she's in prison.
And the woman died. And because we have a way of solving problems in Africa, the clan sat and said it was not intentional, and she was provoked to a point. She was driven. But there's also the law.
Yes.
So the woman is doing time in prison. And so that is the day I realized, there's an untold story where I smashed a windscreen. And I know what temporary insanity feels like.
Yeah.
Because at that particular time, I'd lost my mind. I was so angry. I was angry because I had a sick child at home. And my husband tells me it's a Friday night. And he's going out with the boys. You know, some of them never resigned from the
boys' club.
So it's like, I'm like, the baby is very sick. The older child is running a fever. And then he's like, acha nienda na come, you know.
And the baby will wait.
And I wait 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
You let him go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, naenda na come. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll have 2 beers and we can still go to hospitals. The hospitals work 24 hours. And 24 hours become 12 hours. So I'm really, this is, I got married for this, you know.
Yeah.
To have a sick child. So then the nanny comes and tells me, oh, gari ya baba, gari ya nani ko. Like, like really? It's in the neighborhood and I've waited the whole night. So at the point I was walking there, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yes.
I was just going to get a car, maybe throw a tantrum, and we take the baby to hospital. So I find the car being washed. I'm like, really? At a gari na osho, you know? Like, the car was parked the whole night. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm sure he's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
So I tell the guy who was washing the car, Mimi, bibia.
Yes.
Tafadhali msitake vita. Wanda tu muite pole pole mwambie. Akuje tuongee,
Yes.
you know? And now I start losing. And the guy was very comical, was funny. Up to this date, I give him points for jokes.
You know what? We're just going to take a short commercial break from that point right there. And we will be right back. We're talking extramarital affairs. And we are focusing this on Redempta Muycali's book, The ABCDs of the Other Woman. Welcome back to Full Circle with Muycali. It is Book Circle. It's time for Book Circle this morning, and we have Redempta Muycali in studio. We're talking about the ABCDs of the other woman, the conversation that is never had. And we were just talking about how women go head to head against each other while the man is quiet. And Redempta, you were telling us a story about how your son is sick, your child is sick, and you're expecting him to come and take you to hospital, but then he is not there.
Yes.
But ako kwa hood, chilled enough that the car
is being washed. I wish it came dirty with like 2 hours earlier or 3 hours or 4 hours or 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I borrowed a hammer after I talked to the guy. He was very funny. He had jokes. He told me, sasa mimi nitafanya nini? Wewe ni wake, gari ni yake. You know, he had jokes. So I'm like, just be soon. I just call him. I'm not going to cause drama.
Yes.
Then he's like, I can't do that. I'm like, then I'll cause drama. So I borrowed a hammer and I hammered the car. And I really wanted to hammer that car to get the pressure off. Like I'm going crazy.
To release.
Hey, me a hammer the first time I thought it would do, shua.
It didn't.
It had an anti-shatter.
Oh.
Yeah. So I hammered like 9 times. I counted later. Then I was taught manners to say please and thank you. When I was returning the hammer, I threw it and said thank you. And I walked away.
Was he there? So nobody called him?
No, the owner of the establishment was very upset.
Okay.
Yeah. Alikuwa mtu wa nyoba. How do you damage a car? He came out screaming like it is his car. Who gave her the hammer? Who did this? So anyway, my story is really long in terms. That's why I wrote the first book. I say this is why I'm so passionate about people.
Yes.
Because at the center of every story is a bad relationship. Bad relationship with God, bad relationship with the devil, bad relationship with parents at the center, at the core of every relationship.
Yes.
So if you want to find out who you are and why you do the things you do, this is a relationship that maybe is at stake, that happened.
Or that has brought you to this point in life.
Yes.
You know, you also say that any woman who engages in extramarital affairs is the one who seduces the man, which you call it out as a fallacy.
Yes.
And we have so many names that women are given, but I don't think there's
no name for
a man.
I think it's I don't want to call it self-hatred, because if you call your husband a prostitute, what are you? Because he's coming back to you. So it's easier to call that other woman those bad names. And I should be the one calling the other woman bad names, because I was rendered homeless.
You were?
Rendered homeless. Like I was displaced.
Yes. So they came in. Did you leave?
Yes, I left because there was violence involved.
Okay.
Yeah. So I left thinking I'm just leaving and coming back. But I left and there was no place to come back. So I should be very angry at these stories.
Yes, but you're not.
Yeah. But 20 years down the line, I almost lost my cool again. When the other woman came to apologize.
The other woman did what?
Came to say I'm sorry.
To you?
Yes.
20 years later?
Later, yes.
How does that even help me now?
That's what I wanted to find out. I wish the ground, you know how you live and wait for an apology that never comes?
Yes.
I talk about the apology that never came.
Yes.
And the apology I did not expect that came. That was my husband passed on without telling me I'm sorry. And I was very dramatic when I heard he died. Like, how do you die before you say sorry?
Oh, no.
I felt that way.
Yes.
And then as I went through the grieving process, I also realized I hadn't been perfect. I had played my own role in even not looking for reconciliation. So it's a 20-year journey.
Okay.
So it's 20 years worth of stories. Because as soon as people get to know what happened to you, they tell you a story in there. And then it got to a place where I was a place of total healing, that I could actually have a very, very objective conversations about it. So I asked men about it. I asked women about it. I asked the other women about it.
Yeah, because that's your chapter 5. I'm interested to just find out.
Chapter 5, you just have to call me again. We talk about relationships, and then I talk about chapter 5. Chapter 4 and 5,
yes.
Men with propensity to cheat. The gist of my book is actually chapter 3, which I say, there are covenant keepers, there are promise keepers. Not every one of the fallacies is, men are like that. And the truth is...
That is not the truth.
That is not the truth. Not all men do that. Not all men have extramarital affairs. And we look at extramarital affairs as a moral issue, as a religious issue, as a public health issue because of infection, and as a crime issue.
Yeah.
Because at the rate of which we are committing homicides because of relationship tells you we don't know how to deal with relationships. We'd rather someone dies. If I can't have you, no one will. Those conversations. Yeah. It's getting crazy.
Yes.
We are having scenarios where if you look at the newspapers every day, there's someone who's killed somebody.
That's
and
true.
If you go, why it's a married man having a relationship with a young girl in her 20s, he's having a wife at home, and now he's killing her because she's having another person. And probably she wants to start her own life.
Yeah.
So chapter 4 and 5 is the gist of the book. It's where the rubber hits the road.
Clearly.
Yes.
Well, you say that not everyone walks their talk. What does that even mean?
I introduced my chapter 4 by talking about our constitution. I'm a deep thinker. And I say, like, just the constitution, when we were voting yes and no, not everyone was saying yes.
Yeah.
But the democracy dictates that people who said yes were the majority, so we have a new constitution. Okay. And I look at marriage in the same way. That we walk in and we know in our hearts it's no.
Yeah.
That I will not be faithful. But society expects if you got married in church, you'll be faithful. So you're there. Muycali, this handsome man is telling, I want to marry you. And you're like, I will never marry a man who cheats. And what is he going to tell you?
I don't.
I would never. Why would I cheat on you? You're so fine.
What else is there to look for?
Who cheat on this?
On this? And they make you feel so good about yourself.
Yes.
And we've seen some marriages that just lasted weeks, and some even on the day of the wedding, during the reception, the other woman is also there.
I have two great, out of the whole book, one fact and one fallacy that I would want everyone to take away. And one is, just because polygamy is allowed does not make extramaritals permissible. And we have this misguided conversation in Kenya. One, you think you are Father Teresa. I don't know if it's a Father Teresa version
there
of
is, but it's fine. Abraham,
where
no.
we marry many women to save the world. You're like, there are
okay.
so many men in the world, there are so many women in the world, and there are not enough men for them.
There's that. They came up with a ratio, you know.
Yes, and
My
they justify.
goodness.
And I ask the question:
Yes.
just because there are more cars in the showrooms, do you go and steal and buy a car so that you help the people who are manufacturing the cars?
No.
You can only afford one car at a time.
Yes.
So that is one of the biggest one fallacies. And the fact is that your marriage is not in chaos because there's another woman.
No.
The chaos in your marriage is why there's another woman. But who wants to admit they have chaos in their marriage? You are happily married.
You know, I think I had this conversation with someone who said that they're in a relationship. It works for them because if at this point in time they found themselves single, they would engage in all kinds of things. But because there's a woman in their life, they are not doing it, which I think is a lie to themselves, because the true person that you are is this person who's thinking, kama hange kuwa ninge. So the chance that you get to do it, then you'll just do it.
It's looking at marriage also like you have a leash, like
it shouldn't be that.
Yeah, that if it wasn't for out, or you come home and tell your partner, do you know how many people I rejected before I married you? You know, I hope you read this book and call me again, because it's full of stories.
Okay.
They are I'm a storyteller, so I was not going to talk about facts and fallacies and some social issues and not tell stories.
Okay.
So I have all kinds of characters in my book. I have Mr. Mipango, I have Mrs. So the gist of the book is in chapter 4 and 5, which is the way people cheat.
How do they
Not the
cheat?
why. The why is like asking, why do people steal?
Okay. So
And then
how do they do it?
We have 7 guys.
Okay.
Those guys, we can't finish them today. But we have someone I've called Mr. Klande.
Mr. Klande.
Yes. Mr. Klande is just a player. His other names would be Casanova,
Yes.
Playboy. Yeah, and he has 2 reasons why he does what he does. Either he's deprived, he was rejected, so he's making up. Or he's a bad boy. He got addicted to behaviors, and this is one of the behaviors he chose. So Mr. Klande will always cheat. Hata ukimbatisa, hata ukimvalisha kola ati reverend tumwite, he's a Mr. Klande.
Yes.
That's who he is.
And it's okay, fine, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Then we have Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman ni mgani?
Mr. Chairman, hapana, Mr. Chairman akona charisma.
Oh.
Anapendwa na kila mtu. He's the life of the party.
Okay.
When Mr. Chairman comes in, everyone's like, you're going to be the chairman of the committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you have money, but you step in and people recognize you.
Yes.
You come with some sort of air.
Yes.
Okay.
You have charisma.
Okay.
So Mr. Chairman doesn't cheat because he wants to cheat. Women throw at themselves at him in very subtle ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman likes to organize nyama chomas. They go to the ranches.
Oh, no, say Wavasha.
Hey, how. And then when the wife gets a baby, she's too busy. She doesn't go. And then when they go to those Naivasha trips,
Yes.
the guys always follow Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So and the girls follow the squad. So there's always that extra girl.
Yes.
And one to Mr. Chairman if he's having a bad day or
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have Mr. Yakubu.
Yakubu ni nani?
Yakubu ni Jacobu. Jacob in the Bible.
Okay.
Jacob was forced to marry a woman he didn't love.
That's true.
By circumstances.
Yes.
And he did his time.
Yes.
And then he said, I've paid my dues to society.
Yes.
Now let me go for the one.
And then he's given the wrong one.
Yeah, so Mr. Jacobu is someone who either was divorced, lost the love of his life. All these soap operas are made of the poor guy, the rich guy falling in love with the poor guy.
Yes.
And you can't marry her, she's of low social status, wrong tribe. This girl, you love her to death, but she's the wrong complexion. Kikamba.
Ukoto sawa. Time yangu itafika.
Yeah. So yeah, Mr. Yakubu is that person who is on the rebound.
Okay.
Never got over the love of his life.
Okay.
So when we go to the woman, there will be a Rachel for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tukapa kwa gentlemen, I hope you're paying attention.
Yes.
So Mr. Yakubu, and then
we have Mr. Chameleon.
Mr. Chameleon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chameleon is a perfectionist.
Okay.
He likes when he eats, he doesn't mix his food. So that's how he does life. So he marries a woman and there's clutter all over. And he loves a woman and he's done what society expected of him, but he wants some peace.
Yes.
So he ends up having, what do you call this? The man's what? Cave, a man cave.
Yes, man's cave.
But the problem of African men, man caves are not just with gadgets, and there are
No.
people there. So
No.
yeah, so
mostly human.
yeah,
of the
so
opposite gender.
Mr. Chameleon doesn't will never. He can be a secret agent,
Okay.
and he can have two families. Those are the ones who cause drama at the funeral.
Okay.
Yeah, he you don't call his family. You don't call past curfew hours.
No.
Umewekwa mahali umewekwa ukae hapo. The only problem with this Mr. Chameleon is akipitana na Miss Wicked. There's a Miss Wicked kwa huko hiyo chapter ingine.
I'm waiting.
Then we have King Mufasa.
King Mufasa.
Just like the title, he's the king. He's polygamous in nature. He is raised in polygamy. He just commands, he's a fatherly figure. King Mufasa will even marry someone with kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like a government. He has many places to allocate. Yeah, so we have King Mufasa.
Okay.
Then we have Mr. Set Apart.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Set Apart will be a pastor. He'll be a liberator. He'll be someone who is in a space where they fight and they are noticed. He's set apart for a cause that is bigger than him. Okay. He's a Nelson Mandela. He's a Martin Luther. He's a Raila Odinga, you know. Someone who people have followed for many, many years.
Okay.
So he's set apart for a cause that is bigger than him.
Okay.
Liberation and things like that. So Mr. Set Apart actually can be set up.
Ah. Okay.
Like Samson.
Yes.
That same scenario.
Yes.
Could even have been Mr. Samson, but he's
Yes.
Mr. Set Apart. And then we have number 7, who is Mr. Criminal Intent. Mr. Criminal Intent is not just having immoral behavior. He's breaking the law. He's a pervert.
Okay.
He's committing incest. He's committing rape. He's got some hood somehow. He's kept some young girls from high school, underage girls.
Okay.
So Mr. Criminal Intent is, if you're married to Mr. Criminal Intent, the worst is if you become an accessory to his behavior.
Okay.
He could even be a pastor who is a predator. So I call him a criminal. There's no other way
to call him. Those
Yeah.
are the 7 hows.
Yes.
Okay.
Of the men.
have.
I think I forgot. Yeah, Mr. Set Apart then for the women's side.
Yes. So
yes.
let's get to the women's side. I think we have about 6 minutes.
6 minutes to harakishe. Kuna mtu anaitwa plaything, eh?
Huo ni msichana sasa.
Plaything. Tuko kwa girls
Okay.
child.
Plaything.
Plaything is someone who inaitwa bunny whatever.
Bridges.
Hizo bunnies. Oh, those girls who will do adult XXX.
Oh,
they are playthings. They are toys.
okay,
They've made their
okay,
lives.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And they're also commercial sex workers in this category.
Okay.
So something happened to this girl. A lot of time when after I've studied psychology, people who become prostitutes, something happened to them. So plaything is depends on the levels.
Okay.
Yeah, you could be high class, you could be on the streets. Really, you're just a plaything. You're not breaking homes.
No.
It just so happens that some of your customers are married.
Okay.
You don't pick.
Okay.
Young, old. And then we have Miss Accessory. Miss Accessory are now our girls, young. They are the trophy that men want to.
Trophy girls.
They're the girls who stand half naked next to a Mercedes. Really,
Yes.
you're selling a Mercedes. Why do you need a half naked girl? Yeah. It's an accessory. So when women are used, unfortunately, as symbols of something of power and use them as accessories. So she's a trophy. Miss Timely is someone who just is your BFF who now with benefits. Something happened in this marriage and they've been together for so long. They've worked together for so long. She was just right on time. So I call her Miss Timely.
Miss Timely.
Yes. She's just right on time. Then we have Miss Rachel, who is the opposite of Yakubu. Miss Rachel is the one that got her way. Yeah. So she has the potential to be hanging. Like, were you with Rachel yesterday? Is Rachel calling you? So
yeah, okay. Miss that chick that's always in the middle of the relationship.
Yeah. She's been in life for so long, so you're not sure are they friends or they're not.
Okay.
Then she could also be a baby mama.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we have Miss Second Lady. Upende usipende. Your husband has another wife.
What is that a fact, or are you saying that to me?
Oh, sorry.
I'm like, what are you saying?
Sorry, it's not personal.
No, it's fine. I'm not married. It's okay.
I'm preparing you so that
Okay.
you don't walk out of a good marriage because nobody told you. Sometimes you're married to a cheater. You are married to you have to learn to navigate your life.
Please tell me about this particular woman.
Yes. Miss Second Lady.
Yes.
Miss Second Lady is not officially accepted as a second wife, but you are not wishing her away. Hata ukifast, hata ukikesha. She's there. Because something happened in the first marriage. And this person got used to this person. So polygamy is Mr. King first ataoa. Lakini huyu Miss Second Lady is a mistress. Hata ukimuita kinyangarika, hata ukimuita which bad names.
She's not going.
She has as much dignity as you have. She might even have a child.
Okay.
So she is Miss Second Lady.
Okay.
Indirectly. Maybe she can't marry. Maybe this person never divorced. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have the Queen of Sheba, where
Allah.
this is where the Muycalis are.
Sasa, first of all, you just told me about my husband, and now I am Queen Sheba. What's going on? Okay, please tell me who's Queen Sheba.
The Queen of Sheba, if you go to the Bible, I think because I'm writing to the audience of people who know what a lot of the characters in Christian, is a woman who was seen. She didn't put herself out there. She was minding her own business.
Yes.
Or she was in a place to be seen.
Okay.
And she was beautiful.
Uh-huh.
And this man decides, I'll do anything to get her. So a lot of people who are in that category are public figures.
Okay.
You have stalkers. Muycali will go to someone's house and find your pictures are all over that guy's wall. They saw you. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't flirt with anybody. And now there are people who are not sleeping well at night because Muycali is in their space.
Okay.
The man has a crush on Muycali. So Queen of Sheba, I have a quote about, I want you to read it. I don't know if you'll get to that page very quickly.
Tell me what page.
As you're going to the page, it's the chapter 5.
Okay, you continue.
Yeah. And then I have Miss Wicked, just like I had Miss Wicked on the other side. You go to the Queen of Sheba, you see it?
Yes, I see it.
So there's a quote, if you marry a woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Read.
Okay, cool. If you marry a woman who has a life purpose of serving the multitudes, you have to share her with the world. Sometimes you may feel like her shadow, but what you are is the unseen yet crucial anchor that grounds her, the lighthouse she needs on a dark, stormy night. You guide and protect her, lest she is swept away in a tide of her greatness. Not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had set apart and we have Queen of Sheba. So this person can end up breaking her own marriage and having a relationship. So she can have the other woman. Yeah. Yeah. So why are you cheating with me? Because she's a superstar and this guy can't get over her. I mean, if I could give you examples of the Kenyan situation, I'll get sued. But it has happened. It has happened. And then just like the men, we have Miss Wicked.
Yes, that's the last one.
Miss Wicked will do anything to get in your place.
Okay.
Miss Wicked will call you and say, he's our husband.
I'm about to ask you something, but I shouldn't.
Ask.
Maybe I should.
Ask if I can't answer.
Did you feel like when she came back 20 years, like the 20 years you were away from your marriage, that she was number 7?
Yeah, all along.
All along,
Even when
okay.
I was writing a book, I dedicated. Okay, she has since said she's sorry, and I'm still trying to say, why are you saying sorry?
Yeah.
There was wickedness element. If you invite me again, I'll tell you the nitty
I will
details.
definitely invite you again. Our time is out. But this book, we already have an order in studio. Of course, I'm getting my own as well. But how can people get this book? Where is it stocked, and
It's
how
not
much
yet
is it going
stocked. That's why I'm coming back to talk more about the book. But
great.
you can order it directly from me.
Well, how can they do that?
They can call me on my number. I can give you a number.
Yes, please. This is your camera.
Yes, 0706 808 909. That is 0706 808 909. An easy to remember number.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Muycali, thank you so much for coming through. This has been very educative, entertaining as well. She's quite the storyteller. You have to agree with me on that. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Muycali.